right, tablet 3. Despite the general and indisputable recklessness of this situation, Gilgamesh is still taking some precautions, which, like, I guess I'm glad for that. Even though literally every single person that he knows is saying, this is a bad idea and you shouldn't do it, you're gonna die. And Gilgamesh was like, I don't care, I'm gonna be famous forever, I'm gonna kill him, I'm amazing, I'm Gilgamesh. To the ancient tablets about merchants, that is not in this particular story. So we don't have a lot of the scene, but like I said, in the old Babylonian text, we do have him apparently engaging in some ritual in hopes of good luck. When the actual tablet 3 begins, that's when the elders of the city, they've given up telling him that this is a bad idea and are just wishing him well. They also tell him to let Enkidu go ahead of him because Enkidu will protect him, which is kind of funny because at the beginning of the tablets, Gilgamesh was the one who was said to always go out in front in battle, but I guess if he's the king now, Enkidu's more expendable? They officially tell Enkidu, like, we're placing our king in your care. They're like, you take care of our king, bring him back safe to us, as if Gilgamesh is not the one making Enkidu go on this mission in the first place. But Gilgamesh is like, hey, let's go talk to my mom as well. Like, she's a goddess, she's really wise, she'll know what path we should take. Besides the path of not doing this in the first place. So they go to Egalma, which translates to the Great Palace, because remember, Gilgamesh's mom is a straight-up goddess. They go talk to Ninsun. That's his mom. Ninsun Rimat, the lady of the wild cows, you know. They always have lots of epithets for the deities in these. Seize button, Rachel click button. Yes, this is the truth. If I were the leader of a kingdom, how would I run my army? I would leave it up to someone who knows war tactics better, and I would also try to avoid getting into wars. Wars are expensive, and they make me feel sad. Yeah, delegate to it, exactly. So they go see her, and Gilgamesh asks his mom to intercede with Shamash, the sun god, on his behalf. To, you know, ask him for his blessing on this suicide mission. Ninsun is already pretty upset. Her son is about to undertake this mission that will probably kill him. She's really worried about this, but she apparently has realized, like everybody else, that she cannot talk him into not doing this, or talk him out of it, I guess, would be a better way to word that. Anyway, she goes to her room and bathes in some water with, like, special herbs, and she puts on beautiful, fine clothes and, like, her crown and all her jewels. You gotta dress up to go make requests to Shamash, the sun god, even if you're a god yourself, apparently. She heads up to the roof to make an offering of incense. It seems that appealing to Shamash is better done from some kind of high place, because that's what people keep doing whenever they want to pray to him. So she gets some incense and makes that offering. Before she gets to Gilgamesh's message, though, that's a tongue twister. She yells at Shamash for a little bit for, like, giving her son such a restless spirit that now he is determined to go kill this monster that will probably kill him. They pray to Shamash. No. Anthony Padilla, why did you make my son so reckless? Assyrians, yes, the Assyrians kind of conquered the Sumerians, and then they were like, oh, this stuff's pretty cool. Anyway, she yells at Shamash for a bit, which I imagine a mortal would not do, but like I said, she's a goddess, so she can be like, why did you make him like this? Which is a sentiment I'm sure that many parents can relate to. Maybe not because their child is determined to go fight a monstrous and uber powerful giant, but sometimes you're just like, why are you making these choices? But she does make her offering of incense when she's done yelling at Shamash and asks that Gilgamesh have safe travels, and asks that Shamash, when Gilgamesh does face Humbaba, that Shamash send all of the winds against Humbaba to help in the fight. Which, you know, it seems like Gilgamesh plans to just go into the forest and, like, assault this dude. Now, I'm not saying that this is necessarily, like, a good person, Humbaba, because I don't know. The gods even seem divided on him, because they keep saying, like, Shamash abhors this Humbaba, but he was placed there by one of the other gods to guard the forest. So, I don't know morally, but can you imagine? Like, you have your job, and you are just vibing, doing your thing, you're like a security guard, and some dude shows up and is like, now I'm the security guard, and, like, tries to punch you in the face. So she does ask Shamash to kind of help out in this insane mission. After this, she puts out the incense and heads back downstairs to where Enkidu and Gilgamesh are waiting. I don't know what they did. Do you think they just like sat there and talked, or maybe they meditated or prayed or something, because it is a temple. How do I personally picture the Humbaba? If I'm honest, in my head, he's just kind of a scribbly, childish drawing of a giant monster. While they're in the temple, though, Ninsun gets back and officially adopts Enkidu as her son, which is kind of sweet. Like, maybe she felt bad for making him cry when she was all like, he has no family. He just got chucked into the wilderness by a goddess, and then and then all the animals ran away from him once he was more human. She officially adopts him as her son, which makes Gilgamesh his brother. They were already, I don't know. I'm not gonna try and speculate on whatever gay stuff might be going on between them, because maybe there's nothing, maybe there's something. I don't know, it was 6,000 years ago. But she puts her, like, a holy symbol around Enkidu's neck. So now he does have a family. So if he dies on this mission, at least he has a mom. I'm sure that will be comforting when he's facing down Humbaba. But it's nice. I think he wanted to have a family because he got so sad when he realized he didn't. Oh. There's a gap in the tablet here, like I said. Tablet 3 is a mess, but the fragments that we do have suggest that Gilgamesh and Enkidu then did some of like their own rituals in hopes of a safe journey, but we don't really have the details. When the tablet text cuneiform does resume, Gilgamesh is like giving instructions for running the city in his absence. I'm glad he at least thought of that. He is the king, so if he's gonna hop out to go fight a monster just because he wanted to, trying to identify what actions and motivations are intended narratively to be sympathetic or not, and when gods change their minds, especially when the gods are like at odds with each other's actions. He does give some instructions, so I'm glad that Gilgamesh has some idea of the administrative needs of the city. He tells them that they, quote, must not assemble young men in the street, which I'm pretty sure when they've mentioned the young men of the city, usually it's in the context that they're soldiers. I think he's just saying, don't go to war without me! He also maybe doesn't want to come back to the administrative nightmare that war probably is. Is there a female equivalent to a, bromance? My friend and I used to say friendsbians, however, we both later did realize that we were not straight, so maybe that's not such a good one. Also true. No uprisings while I'm gone. I'm still king when I come back, okay? Okay, I call it. I call dibs. He also has promised that they will do the Akitu, which was a very important New Year's festival, well, sort of a biannual thing, actually. But he's like, when I get back, we will do it twice in 1 year! He also does appear to set someone to, like, make judgments in court, like, judge the lawsuits of those who bring them. So I'm glad that he is taking care of the city while he's gone. As they're about to leave, his officers and the young men of the city are there to wish him luck. Just Gilgamesh, I guess. I think Enkidu's just kind of, like, standing there. They don't really know him, to be fair, but he seems cool with this. He does not complain. I think it's Gilgamesh who would complain because Gilgamesh clearly has a very high opinion of himself. Anyway, the officers and the young men of the city are there to wish Gilgamesh luck and kiss his feet. They give him similar advice to what the elders did. There's a lot of repetition in these, that they kiss his feet. They keep doing that. They did it to Enkidu too, when they were all like fascinated by, he looks so strong. Anyway, they tell Gilgamesh too, and they also charge Enkidu with Gilgamesh's safety. I feel like Enkidu should get more credit here. He doesn't want to do this. He has explicitly stated, he told the elders, like, I can't talk him out of this. Can you talk him out of this? He doesn't want to do this, but it seems he's accepted it. So, they turn to leave. After all of the people have come to say goodbye, like Ninsun adopted Enkidu and then said goodbye to her now 2 sons, possibly for the last time. And then, I assume, went to go, be sad in her room. Can you really blame her? As they turn to leave, Enkidu tries one more time to get Gilgamesh to call off this mission, but Gilgamesh is determined. So they step out of the gates of the city. One wonders why Gilgamesh is so dead set on fighting Humbaba. Like, yes, we know he is a very, very confident man, and it's possible that he just doesn't want to be told he can't, and it's possible that he just wants to prove he can do it, and he just really wants to, like, establish his name as the greatest ogre fighter the world has ever seen. But at the beginning, the text did note his wisdom as king. Maybe that means a different sense of wisdom than most of us would think. But, like, I really think this is our first indication of Gilgamesh's fear of death. And the fear of death, like I said, is a pretty frequent theme in this story. He wants to leave that legacy. He repeatedly says that he wants to gain fame and establish his name as the one who fought Humbaba. That someday, when his name is mentioned, people will say he is the one that took on the fight that no one else dared to, that did this thing that no one else has ever done. Because Humbaba kills people really well. Gilgamesh needs therapy. Everyone in this story needs therapy, especially Gilgamesh. But I don't think it was invented. Obviously, Gilgamesh is not trying to protect anyone. He doesn't have personal beef with Humbaba. He just wants to do something no one has ever done before. He wants to leave a legacy to cement his name in history in a manner that he is proud of. Literally, Gilgamesh, like, yeah, he's leveled up his character quite a bit, but he is just walking out into a boss battle, it seems. With Enkidu, who cares about Enkidu's life? I care about Enkidu's life. He's a little bit Sam Gamgee. I love him. Enkidu deserves better. Enkidu deserves better. He's low-key the OG Sam Gamgee. Really epitomize any virtues, you know? I don't think so. Gilgamesh is repeatedly stated to be, like, unbelievably strong and all that stuff, and he is... Before this, there are stories of a ton of other adventures he's taken. He is a very experienced combatant and adventurer in general. But I don't think this... I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think this is like a parable of any kind. I think it's just a story that was told. He's like the world's first superhero a little bit. And I think there's some morals involved, but I don't think that's the primary point. They do say at the beginning that he is trusted by his fellow soldiers at war. He protects his comrades and they have faith in him. Even if he is a huge tyrant, he is clearly very physically strong and protects the city, just not from himself. The book was... maybe? If you're thinking of the... I don't know. I would not count it out. Finding the mysteries and constructing things is a beneficial patriarchal thing. So, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think this story characterizes him as very competent in some ways, but also pretty reckless in others. He's hyper-masculine, and it's not necessarily a good thing. I don't think that he is explicitly meant to represent, like, a single virtue or anything. I think he's just a character, and I think that, yes, there is an intent to learn from his behavior in both a good example and a bad example way. Reckless impetuousness is... maybe I personally think that that's also true. Like I said, this has been told and told again and through thousands of years. So any original intended moral may have been a principle that we don't even really think of that much today, and also may have been lost to time. Archetypes persist. Yeah. So they set out. This is a bad idea, but Gilgamesh will not be swayed. Enkidu tries one more time to talk Gilgamesh out of this, and of course it doesn't work, but they set out. And then Enkidu kind of has a change of heart, I suppose. I suppose he accepts this mission that might kill them, or maybe not. This is just a bit from the old Babylonian version because, again, Tablet 3 kind of gets murky here. Enkidu is Chronologically, yes, but they are both of the same strength because Enkidu was specifically made to be able to physically take on Gilgamesh. Enkidu opened his mouth, saying to Gilgamesh, "Where you set your mind, begin the journey. Let your heart have no fear. Keep your eyes on me." He tells Gilgamesh again, "I've been around the realm of Humbaba before. Let's do this." And they send the crowd home, and then Gilgamesh and Enkidu went forth. And that's tablet 3. In tablet 4, we get some more numbers, and I did the math. As they were told to do, at 20 leagues, they broke bread, they stopped for lunch, they begin their journey. Every day, apparently, they travel 50 leagues, which, if we recall, 1 league is about 3 miles or a little under 5 kilometers, which means they're traveling 150 miles or about 241 kilometers every day. For reference, that's just a little more than the current world record for distance walked in 24 hours, which was set by Jesse Castañera in 1976. His was 142 miles, or 228 kilometers, and that took him 24 hours. On a tangent, Jesse Castañeda actually sounds like a really cool dude. When he was 8, he was hit by a delivery truck, and the doctors said that he would never walk again, and then when he got older, he proceeded to break multiple world records for walking. And also, he was like the first in his family to go to college. His family moved from Mexico, and when he started school in New Mexico, he only knew 3 words of English: yes, no, and maybe. And he went on to not only get a bachelor's and a master's degree, he was a teacher, he worked as a coach and founded a bunch of youth soccer leagues. Eventually, he became the executive director of the Governor's Council on Physical Fitness and Health. If my math is right, he's gonna be 84 now, I think. I Googled him, and it seems he was diagnosed with cancer some years ago, but I did not find an obituary. So this dude sounds really cool, and I hope that he is still up and walking. I read about him in the course of looking up the world records, and I felt like I needed to honor him at least a little bit. I've never met the man, but his story sounds incredible. Anyway, they broke his record just with casual travel, and they still have time for lunch. Like, they get a nice little routine going every day. They walk 20 leagues, which is 60 miles, and then they have lunch, and then they cover 30 more leagues, 90 more miles before they set up camp. So clearly, if they do set up camp, like, they still have to sleep. They can't be traveling more than like 16 hours a day, 15.5, because they break for lunch. I only gave them a half-hour lunch break, which means that they are averaging at least 9.7 miles an hour, so about 15.6 kilometers per hour, which at least one human has been recorded to beat that speed walking, not running. In 2017, British Olympian Tom Bosworth did race walk a mile in just over 5.5 minutes.
5:36, he smashed it! A new world best!
Which means his walking speed was about 10.9 miles per hour or 17.5 miles per hour. The point is, if you weren't convinced yet, Gilgamesh and Enkidu are superhuman. And because this dude only kept up that pace for 5.5 minutes. Still an incredible feat, don't get me wrong, especially walking. Like, there are legit rules for race walking. The point is, they are superhuman. And every 3 days, they also perform another ritual to Shamash to ask Shamash for a prophetic dream for Gilgamesh. He has these dreams, but apparently he can't interpret them. He has to have someone else do that. They do this ritual to Shamash to ask for a prophetic dream for Gilgamesh. They're pretty casual about it. The ritual involves digging a well that faces the sun and put fresh water into it, and then Gilgamesh climbs to the top of like the nearest hill or mountain and pours out some flour as an offering and prays to be given a dream, preferably a good one. Meanwhile, Enkidu sets up camp and makes what the George translation calls a house of the dream god. I tried. I could not find any information on specifically what that meant, but the text does say that it involves like drawing a circle that Gilgamesh then sleeps in while Enkidu sleeps in the doorway. It's like a sea bear circle.
Don't worry, Patrick. I'll draw us an anti-sea bear circle in the dirt.
Good thinking! All the experts say it's the only defense against a sea bear attack.
But less for sea bears and, I don't know, more for magical oracular dreams. That was all I could think of was the sea bear circle. But apparently that's what it is. I did look it up. Couldn't find anything specific about this ritual. Anyway, every 3 days they do this ritual, and apparently afterwards, Gilgamesh, jerks awake in the middle of the night from a nightmare. He always says that it's, disturbing or upsetting in some way. He seems pretty freaked out after all of these. But thankfully, even though it's disturbing, Gilgamesh is a brave, brave boy. And Enkidu, having been born in the wilderness, or, formed out of clay in the wilderness, or clay and then being chucked into the wilderness, he can interpret the dreams. Much of the text describing the dreams specifically has been lost, but I will do my best to tell you what happened somewhat during these dreams. The first dream, in it, Gilgamesh is in a valley and a mountain falls down on him. He's pretty shaken up by this. I imagine anyone would be. That's quite a dream. But Enkidu finds this encouraging, saying that the mountain represents Humbaba, and it means that they will be able to capture him and kill him and throw his corpse out somewhere, either on the field of battle or into the wasteland, in either translation. The second dream, Gilgamesh is apparently fighting a literal bull and losing, but then a very handsome man appears in a flash of light and gives him water to drink and patches him up. Enkidu comforts him and says that the bull is not Humbaba or the fight that they're about to have, but Shamash, the sun god. And that Gilgamesh was not fighting the bull, but, well, he said grappling with the bull. And this symbolizes, apparently, Shamash holding their hands through this difficult journey, and that the handsome man he saw is Gilgamesh's personal god, who is also his dad, Lugalbanda. They're literally so cute, right? Enkidu deserves the world. I love him. And they keep walking. During all of this, every day they're covering 50 leagues, 150 miles, or almost 250 kilometers. What's their ship name? Engamesh. In the third dream, there's apparently a simultaneous earthquake and thunderstorm, and when lightning strikes, a fire breaks out and begins to spread, and as it does, quote, death rains down. When the fire burns itself out, there is nothing but ashes. A lot of Enkidu's interpretation of this one is lost, but he, again, says this is actually a good omen. He says that it prophesies the coming battle they will have with Humbaba, and that it means Gilgamesh will overpower Humbaba with his strength. Glad it's a good omen, because that's a really scary dream. Less slapstick than Norse. Unless that's what's been lost. It's kind of a bummer. I love Enkidu. They continue to travel. The fourth dream, Gilgamesh says, is the most upsetting one yet. He sees a thunderbird soaring above them, which I think it might also symbolize the Abzu, or one of the forces of chaos that either fought Tiamat or had kids with Tiamat, not the Tiamat of D&D, the Tiamat that is the forces of chaos in ancient Mesopotamian myth, which is where they probably got the name, but is not the dragon goddess, is my point. He sees a thunderbird soaring above them, and its face looks distorted. And like Humbaba, its mouth was fire, its breath was death. He also sees a strange man standing there, who binds the bird's wings and throws it down before Gilgamesh. See what I said? The dreams are weird, even when they're prophetic, and I really appreciate that. I love that the dreams are weird, just like they are in real life. Enkidu, of course, interprets the bird to be Humbaba, and the strange man to represent mighty Shamash, and that the dream means that with the help of the sun god, they will defeat Humbaba. I really hope Enkidu's right about all this. One of those rare things, almost right, and the fact that they are bonkers. In the fifth and final dream, kind of a bummer, it's actually basically the same as the third dream. He is grappling with a wild bull and sees the handsome man who gave him water to drink. Enkidu says, again, this symbolizes Shamash holding their hands through this journey, and that with his and Lugalbanda's help, the two of them, quote, shall do something unique, a feat that never has been in the land. Which, if we recall, is exactly what Gilgamesh set out to do. So, we get back to the actual tablet 4. This has been mostly from the old Babylonian version. Hopefully, Enkidu is right. Although, maybe not for Humbaba's sake, who did not ask for this. But by now, they're nearing the forest of cedar. And it seems Gilgamesh is having some second thoughts, actually. When we see him next, when the tablet resumes, he's actually in tears, presumably with fear. Maybe that's just the fear aura of the forest that they were talking about, but Gilgamesh is a little freaked out. Enkidu encourages him, though. You know, if I were Enkidu, I would have taken this as an opportunity, like, you know, maybe this wasn't such a good idea, let's go home. But Enkidu, I guess, is set on this now as well. So Enkidu is like, hey man, we can do this. But before they can gather their thoughts, Shamash sends them a warning. Humbaba is about to enter the forest, and they have to attack him immediately before he's able to, like, go hide in the forest, and especially before he can put on his 7 coats of armor, or 7 cloaks, depending on the translation. They're catching him right now as he's winding down, and he only has 1 of them on, because he's taken off the other 6. The fear aura of the forest is still affecting our heroes, though Enkidu says that his arms have grown stiff with the characteristic paralysis that affects those who near the forest of cedars, except, I guess, Humbaba. And now it's Gilgamesh's turn to psych him up, like, we just crossed all these mountains together, man. You are a powerful and experienced combatant. You have no need to be afraid. Quote, let your voice bellow forth like the kettle drum. Let the stiffness in your arms depart. Let the paralysis in your legs go away. Take my hand, my friend. We will go on together. Your heart should burn to do battle. Forget death and seek life. Those who fight courageously are those who gain fame from it. Enkidu has never expressed a desire for fame, but I guess Gilgamesh just assumes he wants it because Gilgamesh wants it, so why would anyone want anything different than what Gilgamesh wants? Gilgamesh is the smartest person around. But they arrive right at the edge of the forest and fall silent. And that's the end of Tablet 4! Tune in next time for, I think, the fight with Humbaba.